Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. X Factor number 11. We are continuing our run. We are now in the Mutant Massacre. I have a playlist. I started with X Factor number 1 and am going through all the way through the end of Louise Simonson's run. Now, I also have several other playlists. I have an X-Men playlist. I have an X-Universe playlist where I put everything in reading order. I got New Mutants there as well. I got a New Mutants playlist. Lots of stuff. So, X Factor 11. So, here's the funny thing. I had no idea comic book stores existed. And in 1986, I was 12 years old, still living in Puerto Rico. So, everything was off the newsstand for me. I missed X Factor 11 when I was a kid. I actually didn't read this thing till I was in high school. So I had X Factor 10, and I didn't know what happened till after. I had Thor and X Factor 10. So I knew Angel had been rescued by Thor, but that was it. So pretty I didn't read this, like I said, till years later, and I was like, oh, okay. So Walter Simonson does this beautiful cover. He also does the inside. He is now the regular penciler. I am also covering his Thor run. I have a playlist on that. Feel free to check that out. Walter Simonson is one of my absolute favorites. So here we have Cyclops being hit by one of the Morlocks, whose name I don't know. And here's his beautiful signature right on the side as they're fighting in a dock. So, beautiful cover. And of course, we have Angel in the corner piece. All right. And so, here are some of the Morlocks here. And we are in the midst of the Mutant Massacre here. And so this guy here says, there they are, more of them. Crush them, scale face, before they destroy us. Use your windpipe, blow hard, blow them away. So he must be talking to these guys here. This must be scale face, and this must be windpipe. And so this here is, I believe this is Mask. And so who we have are Iceman, we have the Beast, we have Caliban, and we have Leech. And the title of our story is Redemption. And he says, Beast says, Iceman, visitors. And Iceman says, swell, Beast, the last thing we need. And so here we have our credits. Louise Simonson, writer. Walt Simonson, penciler. Bob Wiacek, or Wiacek, I don't really know how to say his last name, never have, is the inker. So Walter Simonson only does pencils throughout his run. He never really inks this himself. He's always had an inker. Now, Power Pack 27, I have as of now not covered it. Perhaps I should. I never read it ever. So no Power Pack 27. So even though it says in there, I think it was just I don't know, just a little crossover. And so you can see here that it startles Leech here, and he kind of falls off. And he says, Leech, hold on, kid. I'll ice you later, hotshot. But for now, my power, it quit. Of course, that's because Leech takes everyone's powers away here. And so, of course, it makes her lose her power. So that creature was her here. And she says here the kid Berserker. Okay, so that guy in the mohawk was Berserker here. The kid Berserker, they nabbed the Drain Dweller Leech, the power stealer. And Beast thinks you're a shapeshifter. At least she's smaller now. But we're outnumbered. Laden with Leech and Caliban, and Leech's proximity neutralizes our powers too. And so Blowhard punches Beast and brings him down. So he must be pretty strong too. You corked old Blowhard's pipe, Marauder, but it ain't helping ya not one jot. And Beast is like, Marauder, I'm not and then of course he's then punched here. And Mask tries to ugly so Mask uses his powers to make everybody he can distort people's faces, but the thing is it doesn't work on himself, so he remains ugly, so he makes everybody else ugly. Now I know that they have since done some good with Mask in John Hickman's run, but for now Mask is a prick. So he says here, too bad Mask's powers stopped. Be a pleasure to twist off that handsome face. And Iceman punches him here and says, if you did that, if somebody did that to you, pal, they'd be doing you a favor. Leech, hightail it out of here now. And so the Beast asks why, and Iceman says, we're outnumbered with our powers. Working, we'll stand a chance. And so, yeah, you killers don't know what you're up against, but you'll find out. And so Beast finally concurs, this is a great idea. And so Iceman says, so a strategist I ain't. Hold on, pal, I'll get you outta. And of course, that lady turns into this creature and says this was a mistake. And so now they're holding them here. And so they're like, Blowhard, blow this garbage away. And so meanwhile, the X-Men have Angel here. And this is a continuation from Thor what the heck is it? 374, where Thor rescued. So he rescued Iceman. And so we didn't actually see it in X Factor. So that's why I also suggest the X-Men the X Universe playlist, because it's all in there, all in reading order. So got lots of stuff in there, not just X-Men and X Factor and New Mutants, but I also have the Wolverine Limited series. I have the first 4 issues of Marvel Fanfare. I have Kitty Pryde and the Wolverine. I have lots of stuff in that X Universe playlist. So if you want, you can start from the very beginning, because I started with Classic X-Men #1, which basically covered giant-sized X-Men, but with all the exposition that Chris Claremont gives. And we're working our way through. So all videos are in there. All right. And so Jean Grey, during this time, Marvel Girl does not have her telepathy, but her telekinetics are super, super strong. So they she lost one power, but the other power just doubled. So anyway, so Marvel Girl says, I can't wrench it from my mind, Scott. I'll be walking along thinking about nothing. And then I'm back in the midst of a battle, and the Marauders are killing every living mutant they can find. And Cyclops here with Artie. They say, we saved some of them, Jean. It's what we're here for. Whether we're posing as human mutant hunters, X Factor, or as freedom fighters, exterminators. And then they think here, it's what we've decided our lives to. What, in the end, will redeem us despite our faults. And so now they We are getting an exposition of what happened in Power Pack 28, which I have not covered. So we weren't alone. Those children, Power Pack, rescued Leech and Caliban and left them in our care. So that was in Power Pack 28. Again, I didn't cover it. Um, and we sent Beast and Iceman back to our complex with them alone. And he Cyclops asks, "How's Angel?" And Jean says, "Unconscious, burning up with fever, lucky to be alive after what they did to him." "What is it, Artie? What are you projecting?" "Yes, the Marauders attacked you and Angel and nearly tore off his wings." That was in our previous issue. Now, I have covered the Thor issue. Um, then Thor came and saved Angel's life, found you, and gave you both to Scott, Cyclops, and me. And so that was in Thor 374, which I actually have covered. So, have not covered Power Pack 28. I have covered Thor 374. I have all those issues. So, part of the reason I haven't covered Power Pack is I don't really have that issue. So, even though I do it digitally, I try to just contain myself to stuff I have. All right. And so Cyclops says, "What is it, Artie? Did Angel want you to tell Jean something important?" And so he can't talk, so all he does is show projections. And so this is what he's trying to show, which you can see kind of startled her. And now this jerk that is Cyclops, you guys know how I feel, and what they turned Cyclops into in X Factor #1, and what he did with Maddie and his kid and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, "I knew this would happen. Jean knows I'm married and she's turned from me." Well, mother, oh God. Turned to Warren's high-flying Angel, and Warren loves her, wants her. How could he not want her? Only he's not flying so high anymore, is he? So badly hurt. Hurt through my fault. My fault he was driven here. And so he says, "By my moodiness, my childish outbursts, my jealousy." I think that Louise Simonson really wanted to get things under control. Bob Layton and who was the writer prior to Louise Simonson, and then he left to go do that. He went to return to Iron Man with David Michelini, and by the way, I'm covering that run as well. So he really just had Cyclops just leave. He just left, and Louise Simonson is trying to at least give some consequences. So, all right. Anyway, so he goes, "Enough. No more. It's their lives, their choices." And so he thinks. And so you can see Artie here. And Cyclops says, "It's all right, Artie. I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. Come on." And so there you hear these things. Zap, scrat. "Jean, trouble. Through here." And so you see Berserker and that scale face here. And so these guys think that these are Marauders. And then they see, of course, Beast and Iceman being attacked here. So here comes Cyclops to go help them. And Iceman says, "Cyclops, wait. These aren't Marauders. They're Morlocks. They've got to be." And they're like, "Why attack us then? We fought the Marauders, saved what Morlocks we could. Ape, Erg, Beautiful Dreamer, Skids, Tar Baby." And of course, he's like, "Fa! Drain Dwellers. There's not much there worth serving." And he's like, "But you're," and he says, "Tunnelers. False alarm, Tunnelers. I recognize the costumes now. They're exterminators," which is, of course, X Factor's mutant identities here. "The mutant freedom fighters. Very well, strangers. We'll let you live. But we leave you with this warning. Get out of the alley. Get out and stay out of the way." So they're not Morlocks, they're Tunnelers. That is so dumb. All right. And so Iceman says, of all the arrogant, we whooped their tails and they're threatening us, so let them stumble into a marauder trap. Serve them right. And Cyclops says, except that's not what we're here for, is it, Bobby? They're arrogant, yeah, but we're going to save them whether they want us to or not. Tunnelers, we have a complex where you'll be safe. The Drain Dwellers are already there. We invite you to join. So it looks like there is a bit of two different types of Morlocks. And so it looks like they have split into cliques. So Berserker says, we ain't wimpy Drain Dwellers, pal. We faced the Marauders down. One out, by ourselves. No way we'll be let off now. Quiet and stupid like stealers to the slaughterhouse. I've kept these tunnelers alive. And Mass says, us, yeah, Berserker, but what about the other six? And Berserker says, you challenging my leadership, Mask? And so all of a sudden Leech shows up. And he takes his power. And Cyclops says, even a child can tell you're about to make a big mistake, Berserker. And so she says here, please, Berserker, we Morlocks cowered in the alleys and our enemies found us and destroyed us. Let's go with them, form an alliance. They're mutant heroes. We saw them on TV. Please, I'm so tired of killing. And Berserker says, okay, Scaleface, we'll try it for a while. And so off they go. And so Berserker asks, tell me, Exterminator, were the Marauders X Factor? We know you fought them. And that was in X Factor 8. Blasted mutant hunting humans with their TV advertising, spreading bigotry. And Scaleface says, Berserker, how could the Marauders be X Factor? The Marauders were mutants. TV said X Factor's main backer is a mutant. And of course, Cyclops doesn't know. And so Jean explains to him that Freedom, well, she doesn't know that it's Freedom Force, but the press released it, and it was because Freedom Force released it. Again, Louise Simonson is trying to come up with a story in itself, probably trying to get rid of the Thing, which is actually going to be really good. What Louise and Walter Simonson are going to do in X Factor is really, really good. One of the things that really I find in my, the comic books are they're just a really cool form of entertainment, but the way some of these mutants, it's kind of funny how hardly anybody has the same power. Now, most of the time, there's a lot of telepaths now. But for the most part, they just would come up with these outrageous powers. Just outrageous. So, he says here, my power lets me utilize the entire electromagnetic spectrum, including TV and radio waves. TV actually are radio waves. And anyway, of course, right now, thanks to the kid, I'm not picking up anything. And so Caliban says, Marauders attacking all around us, mutants dying. And Beast says to take it easy. And Caliban, he's freaking out. He says he senses no one in the alley. Only we are left alive. He's a hound. Basically, he can tell other mutants, Caliban's people dead, all dead at their hands. And so he swears here that he's going to get even with them. And suddenly you hear this crack of doom here. And Beast asks, what was that? A blast of heat. You can feel it. And he says, yeah. That was an explosion. And of course, this is going to happen in Thor 374. So all these, it's such a neat thing how interconnected they are. Chris Claremont showed a thing on X-Men 212 as well with this fire. So they're like, well, let's go through that door. They close it, and suddenly here comes the fire here. And so they're back, and they recognize the tunnelers, and of course they're like drain dwellers. So they're all Morlocks, but like I said, two different clicks here. They talk to Cameron Hodge, and of course he recognizes it and tells them that, hey, you are X Factor. Man, everybody knows now. So much for secret identities, huh? And so we're one gang you won't bag, says Berserker. And so Skids explains to them that they're mutants to pretend to be humans to help people out. And so this guy's like we, and like sniveling drain dwellers, you accepted it. So, all right. And so they're taking Angel to the hospital here. And look at these people, down with X Factor, power to the mutants, so some protests. Um, and so Iceman says, much as I dislike hospitals, I think I'd a lot sooner go with Scott and Jean than face those devils downstairs. And the police officers here says, mutants, huh? When I was a kid, didn't think they were real, but I wanted to be one, to fly or fry somebody. That's what most of them do. They're bad news, Joe. Really bad news. So you can see that X Factor set up some cots for everybody here, and he doesn't want to stay with them. They're like, forget it. Things. They're mutant hunters basically. So he goes, we'll take our chances in the street here. So cops out there, Berserker. How are we gonna manage it? Neither of us look human, and Mask ain't no beauty either. On and Skillface. Hey, Mask. Fix ya so your old ma won't recognize ya. And which one did say that? Was that Mask or anyway? We'll settle for human faces, Mask. Any funny business, I'll fry you. So off they go here, and they're like, hey, somebody leaving, and they're like, halt, identify yourselves. What the heck? He's like, they're gonna pretend that they're human, and they're like, we're the cleaning staff. And so they're leaving, and it's like, I don't know, Bob, there's something weird about them. And he's like, you're just spooked, Joe. So all right, so basically got rid of the Mohawk here, and so they're out, and so they have this gang here, and they're going to, you know, they want the girl, and of course, Mass restores them, and they go, muties, and let's kill them, and so they start shooting, and they kill, the windpipe. And of course, Berserker doesn't like that and touches this guy, and Mask does his thing, and he's gonna call the cops. And dial 911, and Berserker makes sure that doesn't happen. So at the hospital, so Cyclops is blaming himself, and Gina's like, hey, it's not your fault. Don't bury him yet. He might have a chance. And so as they sit down, the TV goes in there, and they see this guy here, and of course they know it's Mask. So they leave. They're gonna try to stop him. So they go up and change. We gotta love secret identities here. So, all right. And so it says here at a paraplegic ward of Veterans Administration in Atlanta. And we have a soldier named Abraham Lincoln. And he's got an iron lung. And Apocalypse shows up. And one of the neat things that Louise Simonson did is decide, hey, I'm going to do something cool with Apocalypse. He wasn't just a one-off villain, and decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So we've been seeing now that he's got pestilence now, and so he's getting his second horseman. And so Apocalypse shows up here and says, you have a will. I have chosen you, for you are worthy. And in that iron coffin, your power is wasted. Come, I shall transform you and you will be Abraham no longer, but War, second horseman of apocalypse. And then these doctors come in, and they've have disappeared. So Louise Simonson is starting to set up a story little by little, just putting in these little subplots there. And so Jean brings Scott using her telekinetic here, and they see all these cops here, and we basically have a shootout with them, and the scale face, she's like, Berserker, no, they haven't hurt us. They're just defending their kind, like we did in the alley. And of course, Cyclops blames himself. He's like, he's the one that brought them here to the alley. And Jean's like, how could you have known, Scott? We didn't exactly have time to subject them to a battery of psychological tests, but you saw their power. If they were really evil, those cops wouldn't have a chance. So here comes Jean Grey. They're going to try to shoot. Of course, that doesn't work because of her powers or the telekinetics. She deflects them. So she's going to send Cyclops. And Cyclops is like, just surrender. And he's like, forget it, Red Eye. And you can see him here. I'm not asking you, pal. I'm telling you. And so I love the magenta being used here. And so he pushes Scaleface out of the way. And she lands in here. And he's like, hands where I can see him. No, I won't let you take me. I won't. And so, of course, she turns into the monster, which, of course, freaks him out. So they start to shoot. And, of course, they kill her. And you can see Berserker is not happy. And she says she wouldn't hurt you. She said you were just defending your kind. She said she was tired of hiding and of killing. And so he's like, he's had it here. He's going to kill everybody. And he's like, Berserker. And then, of course, they blame X Factor for dragging them up. And Cyclops zaps him. And he goes in the water. And, of course, because he's electricity and stuff, you see this fushoom. Now, whether or not he has appeared again, I do not know. As I mentioned in the beginning, I do have a link to the Marvel wiki page, and it does have character bios for everybody. So feel free to go in there and see if Berserker has appeared yet. I didn't bother researching it because I don't remember him ever appearing again, at least while I was collecting this stuff. Whether or not he has shown up again in newer stuff, it could be. And so here comes the X Factors. The cops, the cops want to arrest the exterminators. They saved us, and then all of a sudden they can't get through, and it's Jean here. And she's got Mask. He's the only one that's left. So off they go. And they take Masks. And of course, Scott's like, I should have found a way to save them. It's what we're here for. And yet, I always destroy the things I mean to preserve. So, and of course, this guy feels bad about shooting her because she's just a young woman. And of course, this guy's like, don't feel bad. It's either them or us. And of course, mutants always are meant to represent, originally it was meant to represent black people and racism and all that kind of stuff. Now you can just pick any group that is marginalized. That's what the X-Men are meant to represent. So, all right, and so we are somewhere else here. And we have here Boom Boom and the Vanisher. And he has a group that steals for him here. And so he says here, she's holding here something. And so I think this is Boom Boom. She says, so what if I'm holding out on you? I stole it. And Vanisher says, but who taught you to steal? Why, without me, you'd still be panhandling for pennies. And Boom Boom says, Penny says, all I have left. If I give this to you. And Vanisher says, oh, come on now. I let you sleep in this nice place with the other girls. And Boom Boom says, you call this nice? You've got low standards, Vanisher. And so he goes, just show me, Boom Boom. The others will be so impressed, won't you, girls? And so you can see that she set up something to blow up later. And so she gives him the purse and says, well, okay, I guess you deserve it. Here it is. And so it 3, 2, 1, and boom. And so he says, you obnoxious little run, I had to throw you out of here. And she says, the tiniest hint of danger. Hint, those energy pellets can punch a hole through wall. The tiniest hint, and you vanish. You always vanish. And then they yell at me. You got no sense of humor. Not like my friend the Beyonder. And that was in Secret Wars 2, number 5. And I never covered Secret Wars 2. I'm quitting your little band of all-girl thieves. If you bother me again, I'll call X Factor on you. And so she's actually going to be someone that is going to be with Skids and Rusty. And so we now get back to the hospital here. And we are in our last 3 panels here. And Cyclops says, Doctor, how did it go? And he says, we did all we could to save him, but it's no use. And he says, the wings will have to come off. And so we are setting up some really, really, really interesting stuff that are going to be coming up. And yeah, Angel's going to lose his wings. So X Factor number 11 by Louise Simonson with Walter Simonson. This is awesome stuff. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.